Good morning and welcome to Nigeria Now, showing on your digital first Pan-African News Network 2S Television. My name is Merciful Ajinimo. And joining us in the studio to analyze some stories on the front pages of the newspapers for today is Mustafa Ali. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much.
How are you doing?
I'm fine.
Good. So we have a couple of news stories this morning, and the big story on the front pages of the newspaper this morning, of course, is fuel subsidy. And on the Guardian, of course, the newspaper will begin with this morning is the Guardian. The banner headline there is "Stay of fuel subsidy. Government will borrow more as states struggle to survive." OPS warns a couple of riders. The first, Buhari suspends PIA by 18 months. NLC shells protest, says no law is cast in stone. Aremu urges sustenance of negotiations. Panic buying as petrol queues returns to Abuja. Oyo CSOs vow to go ahead with protest doomsday, says retired Army General. Suspension of fuel subsidy removal is suspension of doomsday, says retired Army General. And NPDPRA to partner NLNG to solve nation's energy challenges. I do agree with the news of the writer talking about petrol queues returning to Abuja, because of course we're in Abuja city and we know how it is, plying the roads and seeing people queue at fuel stations. But what do you make of this update talking about the fuel subsidy removal and the government basically resigning on its opinion?
The issue right now in the country is, for me, my take is lack of economic policy plans, because I think the government actually have some insight of what may have happened or what have arisen right now, because it was almost impossible at that point in time for them to actually remove the fuel subsidy as stated this year. But I think it's obvious to them right now that it's not something that can even be considered, because the hardship in this country is far beyond what you can imagine. In the index of poverty, Nigeria have just, increased, and everything is going on bad. A lot of things are increased, and you still want to put more hardship on the same citizens that are still begging for ease. So it's a good move by the government to actually extend it indefinitely, which I know it's going to cost. There's going to be a big economic consequences, because they'll have to go back to the National Assembly to have supplementary budget for this kind of cost. And if you're going to be extending it like what some dailies have been carrying, they said like 60 months. That means it's going to be entering into the successor of President Muhammadu Buhari's new guy that is coming to the government, which you're just compounding problems for this person at his arrival. So I want the government to look holistically, doing what we feel we eliminate all that is of the hardship, rather than bringing more hardship to the populace at large, because we have refineries that are not working to the capacity. We have a lot of policies that this government need to come back on the round table to discuss, to make Nigerians happy that yes, there's a sort of leadership at the federal level. It's so sad that you as a Nigerian having to have refineries that are not working, and you just feel like the only way out is to increase the fuel pump and feel like it's okay for the common man on the streets to buy, because once you increase the fuel pump, a lot of things are going to skyrocket.
Yes, definitely.
You're talking about transportation, you're talking about food prices, you're talking about every other thing, because that's a very valuable entity in any economic system. So it's not a thing to go by increasing the fuel pump, and I'm happy that it didn't happen, because if it could have happened, it's going to be a catastrophe in this government. So thank God it didn't happen.
Totally. Still on the Guardian newspaper, we'll see Ekiti. Police warn against breach of peace as Governor Emmanuel heads PDP primary committee. I will move over to the Daily Sun newspaper. And of course, the banner headline there is talking about fuel subsidy removal. We've spoken about that. Sets 18 months plan. NLC suspends planned strike. And now we see corruption. Nigeria drops In global ranking, that's on the Daily Sun newspaper right there. Decline signifies non-improvement in anti-graft fight. And that's, of course, talking from a report by CISLAG. 2023, women rally for APC. Governor Yahya Bello in Abuja. That can be found on page 27 of the Daily Sun newspaper. And then just talk about a blueprint newspaper. Of course, the banner line, they're talking about Petroleum Industry Act. Buhari shifts fuel subsidy removal to Successor, July 2023. That can be found on page 6. Talking about the electoral bill, House, Senate concur on consensus. That can be found on page 7. And Lawan assures Buhari's assent. Of course, we waited for President Muhammadu Buhari's assent, and we've had so many topics, issues, relating to this bill. And now we're seeing the House and Senate are concurring on consensus. And Lawan is saying President Muhammadu Buhari will definitely assent. What's your take on it?
He definitely have to assent, because what the National Assembly guys have done now is to do the needful. And I thank God that they have been able to do it as quick as possible to send it back to the president so that he can be able to assent. Because the major reason he gave them was just on the issue of direct primaries, which his reason stated was somehow reasonable. Yeah, people have the choice to choose, and so that you don't have to burden the political parties. So now the consensus, the indirect and indirect have been inputted into this bill. So what is the reason why the president won't sign it? None. Because the only thing which Nigerians are waiting for is he should go ahead and sign it, and that will be applaudable by him.
Okay. Still on the Blueprint newspaper, of course, we're saying Zaria resident says kidnappers killed my 8-year-old daughter after collecting 3 million ransom. And then we see UK abolishes COVID-19 testing for vaccinated travelers. We can get that on page 14. Talking about Oshun 2022, Oyetola said to contest, receives EUL nomination forms. We can get out on page 7 of the Blueprint newspaper. Of course, we have a lot of stories right there on the Blueprint newspaper. We'll move over to, of course, the Nigerian News Direct. The banner line there talks about Electoral Acts Amendment Bill. Senate reps approve consensus for political party. And then we see just underneath the picture of the day there, Pantami receives presidential commendation as Buhari directs security institutions to leverage on 5G. On the Daily Sun newspaper, under the picture of the day there, we see federal government says over 1/4 of world's malaria death recorded in Nigeria. From the very top there, we see Transparency International ranks Nigeria second most corrupt nation in West Africa. That can be found on page 10 of the Daily Trust newspaper. It seems like Nigeria is becoming the center hub and the headquarters of corruption. Looking at this statistics, it's not something someone should be proud of. What's your take on everything going on? And do you think it's something that can actually change, looking that we're having a different government coming to power, say, next year?
Corruption in Nigeria have always been a talk and not do issues. Every government have always come into the center, have always been talking about fighting corruption. And we actually believed in this particular government in fighting corruption because of the man who is spearheading the whole government, that is the President Buhari. But so unfortunately, it seems that in a way or two, the corruption keeps piling up, having its way in a way or manner that you can't even,
see the end of it or something.
You can't really just understand why are we not cautioned about we doing the right thing. Why are we always going against the law, doing what is killing us as a country? Because it has to start from me. It has to start from you for us to be orientated about the impact of corruption in this country. Because if everybody keeps looting and the whole corruption thing keeps going full blowed up, and it's going to affect us generations to come, and it's bad. I think that we shouldn't go there.
Definitely, I totally agree with you. Now we have the Business Day newspaper, of course, is the last newspaper, and the banner line there is talking about fuel subsidy. Nigeria faces highest budget deficit on revived subsidy. We can get that on the Business Day newspaper. And there's a report right there besides that, how Nigeria failed to lead vaccine production in Africa. Just make sure you grab yourself a copy of any of these newspapers that I've read out to you this morning. And stay updated on our website, that is www.tostvnetwork.com. Our social media platforms are right there for you to follow and stay engaged to know what's happening in Nigeria and across Africa. And that is at TOS TV Network. Thank you so much, Mr. Mustafa, for staying with us today.
Thank you, for having me once more.
And thank you, viewers. Don't forget, we'll come your way again tomorrow. Until then, I remain merciful and Bye for now.